Adam's grandfather's old house stood on the outskirts of a quiet village, like a thoughtful giant immersed in memories. Its wooden walls, weathered by time, whispered stories of bygone days, and the creaky roof sighed with every raindrop. The windows, resembling weary eyes, looked upon the world with sadness, reflecting the owner's loneliness. Adam, gray-haired and wrinkled like an old oak, spent his days in silence. His wife had long passed away, and his children had grown up and moved away, leaving the grandfather alone with his memories. He lived like a shadow among antique furniture and yellowed photographs, whose silent faces reminded him of a past full of joy and sorrow. A quiet sadness settled in his heart, seemingly permeating every corner of the house. Winter evenings were especially burdensome. The blizzard howled outside the window like a yearning soul, and the fire in the fireplace crackled and flickered like an old friend trying to amuse the sorrowful owner. Adam, sitting in his favorite rocking chair, often gazed at the flames, lost in his own thoughts. It seemed to him that time had slowed down, turning his life into a monotonous, endless day. His only solace was the old books he read on long evenings. Their tattered pages held entire worlds where he could escape from his reality. But even in these worlds, he lacked something warm, alive, capable of driving away the coldness of loneliness. He yearned for emotional closeness, for simple human warmth that every living being so desperately needs. One day, when an especially fierce blizzard was raging outside, Adam heard a faint, barely audible squeak. At first, he thought he had imagined it, but the sound repeated again and again. Curiosity overcame apathy, and he struggled to get up from his chair, deciding to find out what was happening. Slowly, leaning on his cane, he walked to the door, where an unexpected guest awaited him. Outside on the snow-covered doorstep, huddled from the cold, sat a small kitten. Its fur was white as the first snow, and its big blue eyes looked at Adam pleadingly. It was so small and defenseless, like an abandoned angel. Adam felt a long-forgotten emotion stir in his heart: compassion. He gently picked up the kitten, and it immediately pressed itself against his chest, as if seeking warmth. "Poor little one, you're freezing," Adam murmured, feeling the kitten shiver all over. He brought it inside, placed it on an old blanket by the fireplace, and poured warm milk into a dish. The kitten eagerly began to lap it up and soon started purring like a little motor. "Well, hello, little one," Adam said, stroking its soft fur. "I think you'll stay with me." At that moment, he decided to give the kitten a name. He looked at it for a long time, admiring its fluffy fur, and finally said, "You'll be Fluffy." Thus began a new, wonderful time in Adam's house. Fluffy, small but energetic, enlivened the home with his games and purring. He chased sunbeams that streamed through the windows, climbed the armchairs, and hid in the old bookshelves. And Adam, watching his games, smiled wholeheartedly for the first time in a long while. Fluffy was not just a pet. He became a friend, a companion, and the most important member of the family. He woke Adam in the mornings with his soft meowing, asked to be scratched behind the ear, and fell asleep on his lap like a little guardian angel. In turn, Adam began to forget his loneliness. He felt needed, significant, and that his life had meaning once again. He started talking to Fluffy, telling him stories from his life, sharing his thoughts and feelings. Fluffy seemed to listen attentively, purring in response, as if supporting his grandfather. This bond between the old man and the kitten was something special, something that brought warmth and joy to both of them. Adam began to notice that his health improved. He became more active, started walking outside, playing with Fluffy. He no longer felt so old and feeble. Fluffy seemed to have brought him back to life, breathed new energy into him. The house was once again filled with laughter and joy, and loneliness receded, giving way to warmth and comfort. Over time, Adam noticed that Fluffy was not an ordinary cat. He possessed extraordinary intelligence and intuition. It was as if he understood human speech and could sense his owner's mood. When Adam was sad, Fluffy would come to him, cuddle, and purr, as if trying to comfort him. When the grandfather laughed, Fluffy would play and jump around happily, sharing his owner's joy. Fluffy had an amazing ability to find lost things. Once Adam lost his glasses, which were extremely necessary for him. He searched for them for a long time, turning the whole house upside down, but to no avail. Then Fluffy appeared. He carefully sniffed all the corners of the room, then suddenly approached the sofa and began to scratch it. Adam looked closely and realized that the glasses were lying between the cushions. He was amazed by Fluffy's insight. Another unusual trait of Fluffy was his love for books. He often sat next to Adam while he read, attentively following the movements of his eyes. It seemed that he was also interested in the stories told on the pages. Sometimes Fluffy even turned the pages with his paw, much to Adam's surprise. One day, while reading, Fluffy suddenly began to scratch the cover of an old book. It was a book Adam hadn't opened in many years because it reminded him of his late wife. He looked at Fluffy in surprise and then opened the book. On one of the pages lay a small, dried rose that his wife had once given him. Adam's heart filled with warmth and memories of the beautiful past. He realized that Fluffy was not just a cat but something more. He began to think that perhaps it was his wife who sent him Fluffy so that he wouldn't feel so lonely. This thought warmed his soul and filled it with hope. He started to believe that even after death there is a connection between people who love each other. One night, Adam had a strange dream. He dreamed that he was young again, walking with his wife in their favorite garden. The air smelled of flowers, birds were singing, and they were happy. But suddenly, everything disappeared, and he saw Fluffy standing before him, looking at him with his blue eyes. Adam woke up in a cold sweat and lay in bed for a long time, pondering his dream. It seemed to him that it was not just a dream but some kind of sign. He got out of bed, looked at Fluffy sleeping on his lap, and decided that he must go to the place where he had spent his best years with his wife. He hesitated for a long time and finally decided to go to the old cottage where he had lived with his wife in their youth. Adam took Fluffy with him, and they set off on the journey. Fluffy looked curiously at everything happening around him, and it seemed that he also wanted to learn about his owner's past. Upon arrival, Adam barely recognized the old cottage. Time had not spared it, and it looked dilapidated and abandoned. But despite this, Adam felt warmth and nostalgia, as if he had returned to the past. Fluffy began to run around the house and suddenly stopped. Adam saw that he was looking at a small rose bush that his wife had once planted. He approached the bush and unexpectedly found a small box underneath it. He opened it and found old letters and photographs. These were letters from his wife that she had written to him when he was serving in the army. Reading these letters, Adam felt as if he heard his beloved's voice again. Tears of joy streamed down his cheeks, and Fluffy cuddled up to him, trying to comfort him. He spent the whole day wandering through the old garden, reminiscing about moments from his youth, and Fluffy was always by his side like a guardian of his memories. Returning home, Adam felt calm and peaceful. He realized that Fluffy had helped him not only overcome loneliness, but also return to the past and reunite with his love. Returning from the journey marked the beginning of a new chapter in Adam's life. He started writing his memories, inspired by the stories from his wife's letters. He created an entire album with old photographs and his own notes. Fluffy was always by his side, purring and bringing him joy with his presence. Adam became more active and sociable. He began to welcome guests, tell them stories from his life, and always spoke about Fluffy, who had become a full-fledged member of their company. Fluffy, in turn, behaved like a true master of the house, greeting guests and cuddling with them like old friends. And Adam realized that life goes on, and even in old age, one can find happiness and meaning. He no longer feared loneliness because he had Fluffy, who was always by his side. He learned to cherish every moment, rejoice in simple things, and live in the here and now. Fluffy also changed his life. He became calmer and more affectionate. He understood that his mission was to bring joy and warmth to his owner. He slept on his lap, heard his cat songs, and was always there when Adam felt sad. Years passed, Adam grew older, and Fluffy became wiser. Their bond grew even stronger. They understood each other without words and always supported each other in difficult times. Adam often said that Fluffy was not just his cat, but a messenger of fate, a guardian angel who illuminated his life and filled it with meaning. Sometimes, when Adam sat by the fireplace and stroked Fluffy, he remembered old times. He smiled and said, "Thank you, my little friend, for coming into my life. You restored my faith and happiness and filled my life with love and warmth. I will never forget you." Fluffy purred in response as if saying, "I love you too, my grandfather." The story of Grandfather Adam and the cat Fluffy became a legend in the quiet village. People told it to their children and grandchildren as an example of true friendship and unconditional love. And although life is not eternal, The memory of Grandfather Adam and Fluffy continues to live in people's hearts, reminding them that even in loneliness, one can find warmth and happiness if they open up to the world and accept the love that comes to us in the most unexpected forms.